Welcome everyone. Hope you're having a wonderful day today here in College Station. It is nice and cool and enjoying the fall weather. And we've got a great webinar. This is our fifth one presenting, and this one covers the student life. So I'm going to be passing it off to three of our current students here at the Bush School, and they're going to cover about life here and many different aspects. I'll let Dylan take over in just a second and cover an agenda and introduce the speakers that we have today. But I do want to remind you that we are going to be taking some questions during the event. So if you do have something you want to say, they'll give a pause and you'll have an opportunity to come in and ask the questions, or you can send them in via chat, in which case I will be trying to answer those along with Dylan. So I'm going to pass it on to Dylan Armstrong, and thank you guys for coming.
Howdy, everyone. As Catherine said, I will be leading the discussion today. My name is Dylan Armstrong. I am a second-year MPSA student. I am on the public policy analysis track with a concentration in education policy. As you can see here, my email is listed as well. So if after the presentation you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Also with me today is Marie Batt. Marie, if you'd like to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thanks, Dylan. Hi, everybody. My name is Marie Batt. I am a second-year MPSA student here at the Bush School. My track is public management, and I do not have a specific concentration. But yes, as Dylan said, my email is also on the screen. So following the presentation, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'm excited to answer some questions for y'all today.
Thanks, Marie. We will also have Rebecca Johnson joining us here in a little bit. She's a second-year MIA student on the National Security and Diplomacy track with concentrations in diplomacy and intelligence. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions, but if afterwards you have any MIA specific questions, I know Rebecca would be more than happy to answer those, and her email is listed. But as I said, she'll be joining us in a little bit, so let's go ahead and get started. So just a little bit of an agenda today for some of the things we'll be going over and covering. We'll start off by adjusting to grad school and just kind of talking about what a typical work week will look like, homework load, what the professors, what the type of professors we have at the Bush School, what it's like working with them and their expectations, professionalism. Then we'll talk a little bit about some of the courses here at the Bush School. We'll talk about Capstone, which is a second-year project you do, some of the other programs and offerings that the Bush School has, what it's like living in the College Station Bryan community for those of you who aren't currently local, and then overall just talking a little bit about some of the social and volunteering activities available at the Bush School. So let's go ahead and get started on the adjustment to grad school. So I found that a typical week schedule in grad school is, it's still school. It's going to be similar to undergrad. It's just what you're doing is of higher caliber. So there's a little bit more of a time investment and a time requirement that is needed. That being said, the time management skills you've been learning and utilizing in undergrad or in the working world are just as important there as they are in grad school. Grad school is a time commitment, but it is still extremely manageable. You will spend the majority of your time reading. That is what the majority of homework is going to be. The majority of it is going to be spent reading or writing. That's another common one. Maria, anything you want to add about typical week schedule, homework load? So we'll go through and we can just kind of like bounce off each other as we go through.
Yes. I want to say that the biggest adjustment for me coming to grad school was that when you're doing homework and when you're reading, it's not just reading to fill in a blank, but a lot of our classes are very discussion based. It's not so much lecture, but it's using what you're reading and applying it to conversations. And so that was one of the big adjustments for me was, in undergrad, I was used to just reading to kind of have a basic idea of what, the lecture would be about or what I was supposed to know for a quiz or a test. So just a different way of thinking when you're reading, and a different way of thinking when you're doing your homework and all that stuff. It definitely takes more time to read when you know you have to understand it to a certain extent, where you'll have a conversation about it and be comfortable with the material. So I echo what Dylan said, where it is a lot of reading, but it also helps in classes because you get more out of your classes and your discussions, rather than in undergrad when you would just go to lecture and show up and listen, but not always get a lot out of it, if that makes sense.
So I think you made some really good points, Maria, especially when the difference in this isn't just reading to check a box or to know what lecture is going to be about. It's reading to truly understand. And a lot of our classes here they're seminars, so you are going to have a lot of class interaction with your fellow classmates and the professors, and you're expected to be prepared, so you have to put the time in to be prepared, which we can kind of tie this into time management. I think, as I said, the time management skills you learn in undergrad, they're just more important now. I'll say I am taking 12 credit hours, and I'm also doing 20 hours a week of working, and my grades have not taken a hit. It's very easy to be able to manage your time to work, to do school, and still be able to have a social aspect of your life. It's definitely a little bit of a learning curve involved with your first semester of figuring out the proper way to manage your time, but overall, a schedule will treat you really well, and it's really, in my opinion, really key to being successful. Professional mentality here at the Bush School, we do take a very strong professional stance. We take things seriously, and that's really the easiest way to see that being reflected is for classes. You'll see the majority of our students do dress up like business casual, look nice, just to signify to themselves and to others that they're here and they're ready to take things seriously. I noticed we just got a question in the chat. I will get to that after Maria and I talk a little bit about the professors. The professors here at the Bush School, we have a mix of practitioners and academia. The practitioners, these are individuals who at one point were in the field doing what we all want to do, but are now just doing full-time work, full-time teaching. And it's really nice to be able to get the perspectives of both the academia side and also the practitioner side of those who've actually been, quote, in the trenches doing the good work. And the professors just expect you to come prepared to class, ready to learn, and ready to have discussions. And I would say the relationships are a lot more, while professional, also have a little bit more, I would say, mutual respect in grad school, because it's a higher level of education. We're a little older, we're a little more mature. And I've found that my professors have had more of I don't want to say friendship, but more of a casual relationship than just, the stereotypical undergrad to professor relationship. And I'm going to touch on the two questions in the Zoom real quick, and then I'll turn over to Maria to see if she has anything to add. The first question was, what is one strategy you use to manage work and school simultaneously? A calendar is a big thing. And I know that might seem simple, but I'm a firm believer in a Google Calendar, and I really do block out the times when I'll be working, when I have class, and when I plan on working on my assignments that need to be worked on, to-do lists. I found that to be a very simple strategy that has really helped me being able to manage work and school. Speaking to me personally, I will say I don't know if I could handle more than 20 hours a week of work in addition to school. So that's something also just keep in mind. And yes, it is extremely common. To the question regarding professors being available during office hours, all professors have office hours or are available to meet if you shoot them an email. I've had no issues whatsoever during my time at the Bush School finding times to meet with my professors. They are really they're really accessible. Maria, anything you want to add to anything else that was just covered?
Yeah, in terms of the faculty and the professors available, just going off of what Dylan said, they have been practitioners, a lot of them, and they expect you to come to class prepared, mostly because they are so passionate about what they do and they really want to engage with you and help you learn. I feel like all the professors I've had are very caring and they just really want you to engage in the class. Going off of the questions that were asked, one thing, I mean, I don't personally have a job outside of school, but school is almost a full-time job, in my opinion, in terms of how much reading and how much work you do put into it. One thing that helps me kind of manage my time effectively is working in groups. It is common for classes to have reading groups, and you just kind of work with some of your classmates and split up the readings and exchange notes. And that is encouraged as well, just to kind of allow each other to dive in deeper into the reading and be able to exchange ideas and such. And in terms of the professors being available for office hours, normally a lot of professors also have an open door policy. I know things are a little different right now, given that we're not on campus as much and interactions are a little bit more limited, but they are always available. Like I said, they're very caring, so they really do want to engage with you and be available, whether it's talking about class or talking about your career and just your course path. So yes, I would say that they are more available than professors in undergrad for sure.
Some really good points you made, Marie, so thank you. But we're gonna move on to the next slide. So the coursework. On the MPSA side, you have 3 tracks that you can choose from, and you have to pick one of the 3. As I said, I'm public policy analysis, which is more a little bit more of the numbers side of policy and examining how well a policy is working and what can be done to make it work better. We do have numerous different concentrations here at the Bush School that you can choose to do. And you also can design your own concentration, or you can have no concentration. I chose that I wanted to go towards education policy and management because education policy is something that I feel passionate about. And there was already classes set together in a concentration that would help me kind of fine tune and really hone in my skills that it would be needed to be able to pursue a career in education policy. But not everyone has concentrations. Say, as Marie said earlier, she doesn't. And I'll let Marie kind of talk to some of the benefits that come if you don't select a concentration.
Yes, so I do not have a specific concentration, mostly because when I first came to the Bush School, I was more focused on nonprofit management. And then after taking some courses, I actually changed to public management, just because I was exposed to new ideas and new potential tracks for where I wanted to take my career after school. So not having a concentration has allowed me to take a variety of classes rather than sticking to a more particular selection. And I have personally enjoyed it because I do get to do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And I've enjoyed the flexibility. There are also not concentrations, but certificates that you can also do that have a little bit more of a targeted curriculum. However, it isn't as concentrated as a concentration. So there are lots of options available.
Yes, and we just got a good Zoom group chat. Wanting to know what the difference between a track and a concentration is. So a track is kind of kind of the first general kind of grouping of classes that you will end up taking. So for public policy analysis, the track I'm on, I was required to take quantitative analysis 1 and 2. And then my first course that I had to take public finance, which isn't necessarily a required course of the other tracks. And I also have to take public policy analysis. So it just kind of is the first kind of grouping of classes that you can select from. And then a concentration is I explain it as a strategic way to group your electives. So all the electives that I'm taking relate to education policy. It's just another way to be able to describe the skills that you've learned here and the knowledge base you've learned here at the Bush School when meeting with future employers. And I would say It's not difficult to change concentrations or tracks. Tracks would be easier to change early on than later. Um, Concentrations aren't required, so that would be easier to change, but you have to make sure if you're going to make a concentration, you obviously have the time to take enough coursework to meet that concentrations requirements. I'll also mention that you are able to take electives um, elsewhere at Texas A&M. Next semester, I will be taking a few education courses in the Department of Education. And I'm really excited about that because it's allowing me to be able to get a different view of education policy, not as much from the government standpoint, but more from like the standpoint of the individuals who are actually doing the education. We're going to move on. We're going to go on to the MIA or the INTA tracks and concentrations. Rebecca Johnson should be on the call now. And if she is, I'm going to let her take over and talk a little bit about this side of the coursework.
All right, hello everyone. I'm Rebecca Johnson. I am second year IA and S&D student. My concentrations are diplomacy and intelligence. So I'll just give you a little bit of overview. Within IA, there are two tracks, national security and diplomacy, and international development and economic policy, or IDEP. Within each track, you must choose two concentrations, or you can either form your own, or you could do additional ones if you'd like, which are, you just need department approval for that. So it's a little bit more difficult to come by, but definitely doable. As you can see, we have a lot of concentrations within national security and diplomacy, but something to note here is that a lot of the classes actually overlap. So let's say you wanted to take a cyber class, well, that would count for intelligence and cyber policy. So a lot of people do that, and that's how you can get more than two concentrations if you would like. Another thing to note, the Women, Peace, and Security track is eligible for both national security and diplomacy and IDEP, as well as some essay concentrations as well. And I think that's all for tracks and concentrations. Dylan, I don't know if you want me to talk about the language requirement or anything like that right now.
We'll get to language requirement a little later on, but thank you very much. You did a great job, Rebecca. Moving on to the next slide. As Marie mentioned a little bit earlier, you can also combine with a certificate. Here are the 4 different options for certificates here at the Bush School. I am not getting a certificate. It is something some individuals choose to do. I know on the essay side, the MPSA side, a common certificate to get that I know a lot of people are doing is the certificate in Homeland Security, just because it overlaps nicely with the concentration in Homeland Security. I would say, Maria or Rebecca, are either of you guys getting certificates?
No.
I am going to apply for one. So a lot of the courses I've taken qualify for the nonprofit management one. So a certificate does show up on your diploma, and because my elective choices align with it, I will most likely be applying to get one. So that is a perk, is you can take some courses, and later down the road at the Bush School, if you find that you want to specify your courses as something, you can do so with a certificate.
Well said. Yeah, it's just a nice an additional perk that's available at the Bush School. And it's just something else to have on your diploma, and it's another way to really be able to show future employers the skills you've learned here at the Bush School. So Capstone works a little bit different for the MPSAs compared to the MIAs. So on the MPSA side, ours is a year-long capstone, and near the end of your first year, professors, about 8 to 10 different professors who have 8 to 10 different capstones, will give a presentation on what all the different capstone project titles are, what type of work you'll be doing, who your client is, who the instructor obviously is, and when they meet. And then each student will go ahead and rank your top 3. And then between the students and the professors and kind of what other individuals are interested in, you get assigned to a capstone group. The leadership and writing staff will work with you with your capstone to make it as smooth as a process as possible. And the clients that our capstones work with are many of the same sectors that our internship and employment lists include. For example, federal agencies, my capstone is the conservation consulting capstone. Our client is the Natural Resource Conservation Service, which is an agency within the USDA. We're examining invasive species within the United States and creating a framework that the NRCS and the USDA will end up utilizing. So it's really nice being able to spend your first year learning a lot of skills, and then your second year actually being able to do a real world application that is working on something that your client will actually end up utilizing. We also have clients that'll be state and local, nonprofits, private industry. Marie, do you want to talk a little bit about your capstone?
Sure. So my capstone is called the Child Welfare Capstone, and we are working with the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services, and we are focusing on foster youth with disabilities who are aging out of care. So we are working with a state agency and some local agencies and nonprofit organizations, and really trying to find a collaboration amongst all of those within the state of Texas to provide more resources and care for disabled foster youth. So far it's been a very interesting experience, and we're hoping to have some really good deliverables for them come the end of the year.
And then Rebecca, do you want to talk a little bit about how Capstone works for the IA side of the house?
Yeah, so as far as the process of rank ordering and choosing the client is exactly the same as the MPSA. The only difference is that ours is only a semester long in the spring semester. So the list usually comes out in October and you rank your top 3. As far as clients, we don't have ours yet for this year, but I can speak to previous years. We've had NSA, State Department, some NGOs. I know last year or 2 years ago, a professor took her capstone group to Jordan because they were working on an NGO out there. Yeah, and it's just, I'll echo what Dylan said. It's a really unique opportunity to get a lot of face-to-face time with these federal agencies or clients that you hope to work in someday. So it's a really good opportunity to kind of get your name out there and really learn about the client that you hope to work for someday.
Yeah, and just once again to say, a lot of when your capstone's finished up, the end product you end up with is something that a lot of capstones are able to get published, or the client they have is able to actually publish it through their networks. So you really will end your time at the Bush School with a beautiful end project that's really nice. It's a really nice deliverable to be able to show future employers. Some of the student resources we have at the Bush School. We do have a leadership program and a writing program. And if you opt to do both the leadership program, which is the Dean's Leadership Certificate, and also the writing program, you can work towards getting this award that's called the Medal of Excellence. It's something that you have to put in the work for, and it does take some work to do. But then you actually, when you graduate, you get an actual physical medal to wear when you graduate, which is just kind of cool because not everyone will have it. And I just noticed a question in the chat regarding do working with these agencies often lead to employment after your second year? I can just speak to, I know there was an individual that was on the conservation capstone last year, and he is now continuing work with the agency that was the client. Catherine, if you're still on the call,
I am.
I was going to say, could you speak a little more to that?
I think it's going to be very similar to that person getting to follow up with what the work they had started. It does happen occasionally. I wouldn't say that it's a prevalent aspect of a capstone work, but many students do find a connection in working with a related field as what their study interest is. And so if they are able to find potential job openings at those agencies, then yes, it could be a leg up in making connections. So I do know that it does happen occasionally each year.
Thank you. I'll say, but yeah, but back to student resources. We have a lot of different institutes, centers, and programs here at the school, and that really ties into the next point of speakers and conferences. One of the really nice things about being at the Bush School is being tied to Texas A&M and the name recognition that both the Bush School and A&M carry. There are a lot of really fantastic speakers and conferences that will come just to the school, but also to the different institutes here. I know I got to attend a talk last year from a professor at the from a professor at the University of Stanford, one of the leading edge individuals on education policy research in the United States. We'll also have different members of Congress that will come in and give talks to the school. And it's a really great opportunity to hear from the experts in the field and a lot of really well-known big name individuals. And with that also comes networking with alumni and the guests who come and speak. The Bush School has a really strong, passionate alumni network. And then obviously Aggie Nation has a massive alumni network. And both of these alumni networks are excited that we are current students and are more than happy to be able to talk to us and help us in any way possible. But with international travel and language, I'm going to turn it over to Rebecca just because that is a little bit more of an IA type topic.
Yeah, so we do have a language requirement in the IA program. You have to get intermediate low on the OPI, which is not necessarily a high bar, but if you are coming in with little to no language skills, it can be difficult, especially on top of your studies. As far as resources you can utilize, the Bush School does offer Rosetta Stone, which I personally used and it's very helpful, as well as language groups. At the beginning of the semester, we kind of take a poll about what languages are requested, and there can be some, not necessarily high demand languages, but we find tutors for them, and it's free to join the language group. The Bush School sponsors it, so they're very helpful. We also do have we have the internship requirement, or it can be a language immersion. So it is recommended if you don't have those language skills to maybe consider doing language immersion. Obviously with COVID, these are looking a little uncertain right now, but yeah, language immersion programs are great. The Bush School has a lot of partnerships with some really top tier universities around the world. And it's just a really great way to get those language skills if you need them. And there is funding available for the language immersion programs as well.
Say, Marie, anything else you wanted to add on to student resources before we move on?
One quick thing is definitely having the potential employers coming in. One of the questions was about, employment after your second year. The Bush School does a really good job of bringing in potential employers, and for internships, following your first year when you're looking for internships, they definitely work with you and bring in some opportunities just for you to hear what potential internships or jobs are out there and get experience asking questions and interviewing or reaching out to potential employers. So they do a really good job of preparing you for that.
Well, thanks, Marie. That segues really nicely into our internship and career services slide. So thank you. I'll say, as it's been mentioned, in between your first and second year, you are required to do an internship. It's obviously completely of your choosing where you would like to intern. It can be domestic or internationally based. And as Rebecca mentioned, you can also choose to do a language immersion during the summer instead of an internship if you are an MIA student. As Marie mentioned, with career advising and assistance, our career service team here does a fantastic job of bringing in employers and individuals who will host internships to come in and speak to the Bush School, talk to us about the work they do and what type of opportunities they have available, and talk to us about what type of skills they're looking for in the individuals they hire. whether that be for an internship or full-time employment. We also do have internship funding available. If you go through the Career Edge workshops throughout your first year, you will have funding available to you if your internship is unpaid. If it's paid, then no funding will be available because you already have funding. So that's just something else that's really nice to help alleviate some of the financial pressure that can come from finding an internship, whether it's paid and unpaid. I'll say over last summer with COVID and everything going on, things became a little hectic because a lot of internships did end up getting canceled. I ended up being able to intern with one of the professors at the Bush School who works at the Public Policy Research Institute, which is a part of Texas A&M. And I was assisting him doing different types of education policy and criminal justice policy research. And if all we also applied for grants over the summer, and if all goes as planned, it's looking like he'll end up winning a grant in the ballpark of $250,000 that I wrote the majority of the application paperwork for. So I'm really proud of that, but we'll end up seeing what ends up happening. If you look at the slide, you can see what our employment rates are. They tend to fall between 81 and 96% yearly. And we really do send individuals to all different types of sectors, but government, nonprofit, NGOs, gov contractors are some of our really big ones. And then I'm going to turn it over to the other two individuals presenting with me if they want to talk a little bit about what they did over the summer for their internship.
Sure.
Sure.
Go ahead,
Oh,
Rebecca.
Okay. So I was slotted to intern with DoD, and that was also unfortunately canceled. I did something similar to Dylan. I ended up interning with a professor on the IA side of the Bush School, just doing some like foreign policy analysis with him. So I see a question in the chat: if you fail to find an internship, the Bush School was really great with the situation this summer for a lot of us. Giving these additional opportunities for us to get experience. So it ended up working out.
Yeah, going off of that, so I interned in Houston for a foundation, and we actually worked on the Harris County COVID Relief Fund. So it was kind of an internship that popped up because of COVID. So that was an interesting experience for sure. I will say, I mentioned earlier that the professors are all very caring, and they are practitioners, a lot of them. So they do have a lot of connections. When I was looking for an internship, I remember going into one of my professor's offices and just speaking with him about some things that I'm interested in, potential areas that I want to work in after graduation. And they are very helpful with connecting you with any networking opportunities that they may have, or giving you ideas for other places to apply to or look into. So I will say the faculty and the career advising is very helpful, and they do want to help you in the best way get an opportunity. And like Rebecca and Dylan said, they are offering, or they often offer, some sort of assistance through research, especially if difficulty continues into next summer with COVID kind of limiting those opportunities.
Yeah, I will say, at least amongst my friend group, everyone who wanted an internship, which was everyone, they all had opportunities. They all had some level of an internship. And if you work hard, our career services and the professors here will help you move mountains to ensure you have something you enjoy. So I would say from my personal experience and the experience of my friends, that's something that I don't think Bush School students really have to worry about. But there are students who will choose to do an additional part-time internship during their time at the Bush School. It's just, once again, that's something that I really think someone would only be able to do if they weren't working as well, just because you would run into some serious time constraints. And then moving on to the next slide. This slide, we're just going to broadly talk about living in the Bryan College Station area. I will say, I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but I'm not a Texas native. I am from the state of Ohio. So moving down to Texas was a bit of a change for me, but the Bryan College Station area is a really great area. I I'll say there are a ton of different great housing opportunities in the area. And yeah, there's a lot of different housing opportunities in the area. And then kind of going off with the chat question that was just popped in with about public transportation, like what it's like in College Station. I would say the majority of the apartment complexes that I've seen, and also the two that I've lived in, Texas A&M buses will run through it, and Brazos County does, and College Station also has some busing available. Marie, you've been here in the area longer. Would you want to speak a little bit to the chat question that just came in?
Sure. So in terms of on campus, the bus system is utilized very much. Campus is very spread out and huge. The Bush School is in a smaller area, but there is bus access from outside apartments to campus. I will say other like grocery stores and restaurants and such, it is very spread out. So if you have access to a car, it would make that a lot easier. But I do know that the bus system also runs to our main grocery store as well. So that is an option if need be, but it is a very spread out area. So I do think that personal transportation would allow people more ease and access, but it's not an absolute must if that is a worry. Also, I know a lot of people, once you kind of find a community at the Bush School, people can carpool to classes, and definitely, you know, reach out to their fellow classmates and friends and such for rides as well.
Kind of tying into the getting a car and also with housing, we send out, being admissions, we will send out a housing survey and then an additional Excel sheet that is like a roommate search, so you can find additional roommates. So I know of a few individuals here at the Bush School who do not own cars, but their roommates do. And they, when looking for roommates, wanted to ensure the roommate had a vehicle just for carpooling purposes as well. And then we do have, I believe, 2 students that I know of who do bike to campus. They live close by, so they just bike to the Bush School. I will say what comes with biking, you also have to remember this is in the state of Texas and it tends to be hot here. So that's just something else to consider. With local entertainment, if you look at the 2 pictures, the picture on the left is of the Dixie Chicken, which is a fine establishment in Northgate, which is a nice little kind of going out area within the College Station community. And on the right, I believe that's Century Square, which is a little bit newer of an area. That's also an area with a lot of really great restaurants, really fun area to hang out with your friends at, especially at night when it's a little cooler. Bryan College Station, we're also close to a lot of different major metro areas. Austin, Houston, and San Antonio are by far the closest, all in the ballpark of about an hour and a half. Dallas is to the north, still drivable, but a little further away. I will say I came from a city, like a bigger city. I came from the state capital of Ohio, and cost of living is significantly cheaper here in town, which is something I really appreciate about being in Bryan College Station. And with holding a job, as I said, I currently work while doing grad school. I think 20 hours a week is about as much as I would recommend for myself. But we do have individuals who work on and some who do work off campus while in grad school. I know I just covered a lot, but broadly, Rebecca or Maria, if there's anything else you guys like to add about anything else on the slide or just living in College Station, Bryan overall, just go ahead and add away.
I will add, so I came from Los Angeles, a bigger city as well. And one of my, I guess, concerns coming here was just the difference from being in a major metropolitan area to a smaller college town. And I've loved every second of living in Bryan College Station. It's just the community you get here is remarkable. And living in a town, the whole city backs your university. So I think it's a really great place to live.
Marie, anything else you want to add for how long you've been here?
I was about to say, the university is the biggest makeup, in my opinion, of College Station. So there's lots of howdy and thumbs up, gig 'em, and cowboy boots on game days and such. So there is a lot of Aggie spirit, as they call it, in College Station, which makes it very full of community, like Rebecca said.
And then to just speak a little bit about some of the opportunities for involvement here within the Bush School, we have a ton of fantastic organizations here at the Bush School. The first listed is the Public Service Organization. That organization, their big focus is public service and really just that public servant side of what we do here at the Bush School. They're kind of the organization that aligns closest with former President Bush's belief that public service is a noble calling. They're extremely active within the local community and giving back, but they also do a lot of really great work for other parts of the country when they need assistance. They just read a fundraiser for some of the communities that were hit really hard by the hurricanes in Southwest Louisiana. We also have the Student Government Association, SGA, which I'm the current president of. We have 8 different committees of the SGA. 2 are mentioned here. The first being Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee, which is a committee that works to ensure our student body is equitable, diverse, and inclusive, and that everyone feels like they have a place here at the Bush School. The other is the Social and Traditions Committee, which Marie is actually one of the co-chairs of. Marie, if you want to talk a little bit about some of the work the Social and Traditions Committee does on a yearly basis.
Sure. So in terms of social, we try to plan just get-togethers for the Bush School students. Obviously, that's looking a little different with COVID right now, but just hanging out in the College Station area or Bryan area, getting together for holidays such as a Friendsgiving. And then this spring, we have a gala that unfortunately didn't occur last year. We'll see if it occurs this upcoming spring. But yeah, just try to build that community in the Bush School. And then in terms of traditions, like I said, Aggieland has lots of traditions at A&M. So we just try to spread awareness about what those traditions are, why they exist. And, the Bush School is part of Texas A&M. So all Bush School students are encouraged to participate in those as well. Traditions are a really big part of the university. So yeah, just trying to help those, especially those from out of state, or just not from Texas A&M for their undergrad, can really get involved in that way.
So I know I found what the Social and Traditions Committee puts out to be extremely helpful and beneficial for helping me understand a lot of the traditions here at A&M, because I didn't go here for undergrad, so I wasn't as familiar with them. But it's really nice to kind of get that little bit of a plug for kind of some of the history of the school at large. We also have a tailgating committee that during, once again, normal years, hosts a Bush School tailgate, so we're all able to enjoy hanging out before football games together. We also have the Green Committee, which works to make the Bush School a greener building. Moving on to some other organizations, we have Foreign Language and Cultural Society, Alexander Hamilton Society, Bushwhacker Athletics, which you can see a photo of our softball team each year in the Dillo Cup, which is a softball game we play against the LBJ school. We play for the trophy you see. We have been absolutely demolishing them recently, so that's great. But the Bushwhacker Athletics will host the softball team and other intramural teams and softball leagues or teams within the city leagues. We also have the Bush School Ambassadors and European Horizons, and I'm going to turn it over to Rebecca to talk a little bit about Bush School Ambassadors, as she is a part of that organization.
Yeah, so I serve on the executive council for the Bush School Ambassadors. It's a wonderful organization. Essentially, we serve as the representatives for the Bush School whenever we have speakers come or donors. It's a really unique experience because you often do get to meet with these speakers or donors on a more intimate setting. When a donor gives money to the Bush School, they want to put a face to what they're helping. So it's a really it's a really good opportunity to kind of just represent the Bush School and speak personally on how it's affected you, your career goals, and just embody and preserve the legacy of President and Mrs. Bush as well. And you also get a nice blue blazer, which is a little perk too.
And then we're just going to kindly broadly go over again, how does the Bush School stand out? I will say, coming from out of state, was a little bit of a challenge, but the professors here at the Bush School is what stood out to me and one of the main reasons why I'm here. During interview conference weekend, getting to meet the professors and just seeing how much they cared about the students really made the Bush School stand out compared to any other school I looked at. We also have specialized concentrations, collaborative environment. You will do a lot of group work here, which really does replicate how things are in the working world. So it's kind of nice to be able to get experience in how it's going to be when we join the workforce. The Capstone projects with the consulting aspect to it, it's another really good real world experience. Professional internships and language immersions, just another really great way to gain further experience while at the Bush School. A&M is a top tier research university, and with that comes a lot of really solid connections, not just within the state of Texas, but throughout the country as a whole. And we are ranked a top 10 best value public university. And then just a few other ways that the Bush School stands out. We have a lot of different speaker events and conferences that happen at the Bush School and at A&M. Plenty of opportunities for students to be involved and to give back to their into the community here. We also get personalized advising, whether that's from a professor, from the career services, or any of our other staff members. Everyone here really is here to help. And the Bush School numbers really are great for what the employment looks like upon graduation. And the Bush School is, to be honest, it's very affordable. All incoming students from both programs will have scholarships. As an out-of-state student, I really appreciated that with my scholarship come in-state tuition rates, and that's something that all out-of-state students do and get. And it's a low cost of living here in the Bryan College Station community, so it really does make it about as affordable as it's going to get for grad school while still getting a fantastic education. Marie and Rebecca, anything else that you want to mention about the Bush School and what kind of made it stand out to you?
Yeah, going off of that, I would say the connection and the community that I feel at the Bush School is one like no other. I have really enjoyed getting to know so many people from so many different places who are all passionate about the same causes and the same issues. So that has been incredible. And then, like you said, Dylan, the faculty and professors here are just amazing. So that is definitely something that stood out to me. I've enjoyed every second of it. So I definitely think it's a great school to be at.
Yeah, and I'll just echo what Marie said regarding the faculty. On the previous slide, you saw a picture of Ambassador Napper on the IA side. Just getting to work with him one-on-one. All of the professors share such a drive to get us into the jobs that we want and the jobs that they've done previously. So just having them kind of sticking their neck out for you, advocating for you, giving you application advice, it's unmatched.
And then a very common phrase you'll hear around the Bush School, because our namesake said it, and it's so true, and something every student here really embodies, is that public service really is a noble calling. Here are just some different photos of just some of the different ways that some of the Bush School students over the years have given back to the community by acting as a public servant. And yeah, it's just a really great community here, and I can't speak highly enough about it. That being said, we really appreciate all you guys hopping on for this information session. If you have follow-up questions, you can look up more information online or reach out to the on-campus admissions directors at the email right here, which is just bushschooladmissions@tamu.edu. The phone number is listed as well, and that number is manned. So if you call, you will get a call back. And then I'll just leave this up for a little bit longer, and then I'm going to go back to that first slide that had our contact information in case there was anything else you guys wanted to email us. But yeah, if anyone has any questions, you can go ahead and unmute or just type away. So First question coming in is, what is one thing you wish you would have known as an applicant or when you were starting out your first year? One thing I wish I would have known starting out my first year is I wish I would have started to reach out to my fellow classmates about working together sooner. Once that decision was made, not only did I have a better understanding of the material, but my workload was less because I didn't have to read as much. So that's just something I wish I would have done starting out earlier in my first year. Rebecca or Marie, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
In terms of as an applicant, I remember when I applied, I was so incredibly nervous for the interview weekend. And just when I first arrived my first year, I was just almost intimidated because everyone at the Bush School had so many great qualifications or did this or did that. So one thing that I wish I had known was that, you know, you shouldn't compare yourself to others, and that it's an incredible opportunity to be surrounded by people from all different walks of life and all different, experiences. So don't doubt yourself. If you want to apply, definitely apply, and don't doubt, the experiences you've had or the education you've had or anything like that. Definitely go for it.
Yeah, and I'll just add, I think my advice and what I wish I had done earlier as well is just get involved as soon as you can with organizations, either in the Bush School or on campus or outside of campus. When you come in, it's all very overwhelming starting grad school, and you kind of get a lot of information thrown at you at one time. But just, I would just advise to really get involved early because it's so worth it, and you really get that sense of community coming in as opposed to kind of waiting a little too late.
Anyone else have any questions they'd like to drop in the chat, or you can go ahead and unmute and just ask us?
Yeah, I have a question. So I'm going to be applying hopefully in the next 2 years. I want to get done with the police academy first. So after that, I want to get I want to be in the police academy somewhere in the Houston or Brazos County area. And one of the potential drawbacks that I have, at least right now, I'm in my senior year at JMU, and one of the drawbacks I have is that my GPA is currently at 3.0. I think it'll go up, but I don't know if it is or not. I hope it is, but I'm really working on getting it up. And I was wondering, what advice do y'all have? Do you think that I'm maybe worrying about it too much, or is it something that you think I need to address furthermore? What feedback do y'all guys have?
I can kind of start on that. Thank you for your question. If I were you, if I understand you correctly, sorry, coming into the Bush School, you want to make sure you're prepared for the workload. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah, I guess just like, first of all, the applicant for the requirements, I have to have at least a 3.0. So I'll have that requirement hopefully. And then I'm also going to be a full-time police officer. Mm-hmm. So is it often, do y'all find that people often have a full-time job? Do y'all recommend that? Or, I asked if y'all were going to recommend it, but I'm going to have to do it either way. It's going to be my job at that point.
Right. I will say that being at the Bush School, similar to you coming in, I never had a 4.0 in undergrad or anything like that. But being in the Bush School now, the access to just one-on-one conversation with your professors and the, teamwork that you have with your classmates, I am making higher grades now in grad school with more work than I did in my undergraduate career. So I think once you're here, you are prepared for success. I will say it will be challenging with a full-time job, but definitely you are prepared to succeed with just your fellow classmates and your professors who want to help you.
And Fernando, let me also say, just coming from the admissions office, we have all kinds of majors and all kinds of GPAs and backgrounds. We do enroll a few students every year in the MPSA or every other year who are part-timers. And in that case, just remember when you're creating your load, typically our students do 12 hours at a time, but you're still a full-time student at 9 hours. So you just need to decide if you want to be part-time at 6, where you're not receiving any funding from us, or is 9 hours enough that you can continue to receive funding and balance a full workload. So that's just a conversation to be had when you're ready to apply, and we can put you in touch with someone who's doing that balance right then, and talk one-on-one with that person or with the department head and just get a feel of what you're ready to tackle. But it can be done, and there is no minimum for us in the MPSA, so don't sweat that too much. All you can do is continue to move forward, do your best, keep improving all you can, gain life experience, and just put those attributes in that personal statement, and that can help you.
Thank you.
I'll say I think we have time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions. If anyone else has any other questions they'd like to unmute and go ahead and ask or drop in the chat.
I had a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So first, thank you, Dylan, Marie, and Rebecca, for taking time out of y'all's day to do this. One thing that I was kind of wondering was, is there anything that is there different kind of communities within IA versus the PSA program? Like, for instance, do people in IA tend to hang out more with IA students just because of the nature of the classes and professional interests, or does the Bush School kind of promote integration amongst both programs?
I would say a little bit of both. You're inevitably going to spend more time with the individuals you're taking classes with, and you're just going to know those individuals better. But a lot of those student organizations we talked about is a really great way to get to meet people on the other side of the house. So for me, getting to meet the MIA students. Rebecca sits on my executive board for SGA. She's vice president. I'm really close friends with 2 other IA students. So I've made friends and have friends on the other side of the degree tracks. But that being said, I have a lot more, I'll say, friends that are MPSA, just because these are the individuals I take classes with, I have Capstone with, and just spend so much in class time with. So those are also going to be a lot of your really strong connections. So we try to help foster a community where, everyone's friends, but you inevitably are going to be closer with people you're taking classes with.
Yeah, I think Dylan said that perfectly. By nature, like, I don't think I've ever taken a class that has essays in it. But the way I've, kind of branched out and met other essays is through those organizations that Dylan was talking about. So it's definitely possible there is overlap if you just go out and make friends too.
My follow-up question to that would be, so I know that each grad school kind of has its culture, like its personality that makes it stand out from others. And I know that the Bush School particularly has a very attractive one when it comes to like the community and the closeness of the student body and the support that each student gives each other. My question would be, from an insider's perspective, when you have people that come in from undergrad at A&M and then also from other walks of life, not necessarily undergrads from other parts of the country, even though that may be the case, how do you guys feel the Bush School brings you all together in terms of this supportive kind of family type feel?
So
No, go ahead, Marie.
Oh, sorry, Dylan. I went to undergrad at Texas A&M and went straight into the Bush School right after I graduated. I will say that in our classes, professors really create an environment where everyone has the opportunity to share everything that they've, experienced and been through. So that's a great way to learn from each other. I think that really connects a lot of people, whether you graduated and then went and worked for several years and came back. I mean, we have classmates and friends who are parents, who have worked for 20 plus years in other industries. I think in the classroom, we really engage with each other. just as a community. And they do a really good job of cultivating that kind of environment. And even outside of the classroom, I know in social events and, game days and other things like that, a lot of people interact, whether it's, fresh out of undergrad or any other types of experiences. I think they do a good job of creating that type of community for sure. Dylan, you go ahead.
I'm saying, to build off what Marie said, it's very much I think it's just the way the professors facilitate courses is just really how the community ends up continuing to be built. Because we have individuals here at the Bush School who, they've done some pretty serious, like they've worked, whether it's in the private sector or have some pretty serious, military experience. And we just kind of come together and discuss, how those experiences have shaped, their thinking, their views, or, their beliefs. And it's just a very just collaborative experience. There's one individual that I'm thinking of particularly who works at Lone Star College. And, he's doing the type of work that I could really see myself liking to do. So being able to talk to him and hear his experience working within education has just really been, it's just been another great way to help build that community. But at the end of the day, once you come in that first day, we're all Bush School students, whether you're a 3+2 student or, you're in mid-career coming in and coming back to school. We're all Bush School students and we're all excited to learn from each other. And yeah, I think that's what I would say to that. Anything else you wanted to add to it, Rebecca, before we wrap up?
No, y'all covered it perfectly. I mean, I think one thing that unites the entire Bush School is our motivation for public service. We all, want to take this next step in getting our education, and we're going to do it together and learn from each other. And that's one of the most valuable things about coming to the Bush School, is just that diversity of opinion and different career levels as well.
I was going to say, I believe that's all the time we have for today. Once again, thank you all for coming. Catherine just dropped in the chat again that we'll be having a Zoom Q&A on Wednesday, October 7th from 12 to 1. I'll be on it, and so will Catherine if you have more one-on-one questions. The current screen, you can see Marie, Rebecca, and myself's emails. If you have questions, please go ahead, reach out to us. And you can also email Bush School Admissions at tamu.edu if you have additional questions. But overall, thank you guys for all joining us. Marie and Rebecca, thank you for hopping on and helping out as well.
Of course. Thank y'all. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.